I was sitting in an upscale coffee shop in Seattle, facing my family after 15 years of silence. Their shocked expressions as they took in my tailored suit, my success as a tech executive, and the Porsche I had parked outside were almost worth the pain they had caused. I could still hear my brother Derek's voice from that summer day when I was 19. Let's see if the kid can make it back. I remember their laughter as they drove away from that Arizona rest stop, leaving me stranded with nothing but $43 in my wallet. Before I tell you what happened during those 15 years and how I found my family again, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever felt betrayed by someone you loved. It was never easy being Jeff Williams, the middle child of the Williams family. My older brother Derek was 4 years older, the golden boy who could do no wrong. Star athlete, straight A student, and my parents' obvious favorite. My younger sister Samantha, 3 years my junior, was the baby of the family and the only girl. She was spoiled, coddled, and protected. Then there was me, the forgotten middle child, always trying to prove my worth, but never quite measuring up in my family's eyes. At 19, I was finishing my freshman year of college without a clear direction. Unlike Derek, who had known he wanted to be a lawyer since he was 12, I was still figuring things out. This uncertainty only gave my family more ammunition to tease me. The teasing was relentless. I was the butt of every family joke. If something went missing, they blamed me. If something broke, they blamed me. My opinions were dismissed. My achievements minimized. I told myself it was just how families were, that the teasing was a sign of love. I was wrong. That summer, my parents planned a family road trip from our home in Chicago to the Grand Canyon. Derek had just graduated law school, and Samantha had finished her sophomore year of high school. My mom, Laura, thought it would be our last chance for a family vacation before Derek started his job at a prestigious law firm. The atmosphere in our family minivan was what you would expect. Derek spent the entire ride making jokes at my expense. How I would probably get lost in the Grand Canyon. How I would fall in if I got too close to the edge. How no one would notice if I disappeared. "Mom, we should put a bell on Jeff so we do not lose him," Derek said, and everyone laughed. My dad James was driving and chuckling along. "Good one, Derek." My mother turned around from the passenger seat. "Oh, you boys, always joking around." But they were not jokes to me. Each comment cut deeper than they knew. We stopped at a rest area just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. It was hot, over 100 degrees, and we were all tired from being in the car for hours. "Jeff, go get us some snacks and drinks," my mom said, handing me two $20 bills. "Get waters for everyone, some chips, and whatever else looks good." I nodded and headed into the convenience store. I spent about 15 minutes picking out snacks for everyone. I knew Derek liked Doritos. Samantha preferred Cheetos. My dad wanted beef jerky, and my mom would want something sweet. I grabbed waters for everyone and some sodas too. I paid and walked out carrying 2 large bags. The parking spot where our minivan had been was empty. At first, I thought my dad had moved the car. I walked around the parking lot searching. Nothing. I set the bags down on a bench and pulled out my phone. I called my mom. No answer. I called my dad. No answer. I called Derek. No answer. An hour passed. I kept calling. Still no answer. The heat was unbearable. I went back inside the convenience store, carrying the bags of snacks that were now warm. "Excuse me," I said to the clerk, a middle-aged man with a name tag that read Bob. "My family was just here in a blue Honda Odyssey. Did you see where they went?" Bob looked at me with pity in his eyes. "Yeah, I saw them leave about an hour ago." They were all laughing. "I figured maybe you were meeting them somewhere else." My stomach dropped. They were laughing. Yeah, the older guy in the back seat was cracking up the most. Said something like, "Let's see if he can make it back," to the others. Derek. That was Derek. I sat down on the bench outside, the reality sinking in. My family had left me. On purpose. As a joke. In a state thousands of miles from home, I tried calling again and again and again. No one picked up. I sent text messages. No response. I had $43 in my wallet, a phone at 50% battery, and no idea what to do. As the sun began to set, panic set in. I was truly alone. The first night was the hardest. I sat in that rest stop until it closed at 11 p.m., hoping against hope that my family would return, laughing about their cruel prank. They did not. A kind employee named Thomas approached me as he was locking up. "We are closing now. Do you have a ride coming?" I could not hold back the tears as I explained my situation. Thomas was about 50, with kind eyes and graying hair. He listened without judgment. "That is messed up, kid," he said finally. "Look, I have a couch you can crash on tonight. Tomorrow we will figure something out." I was wary of going home with a stranger, but I had no choice. Thomas lived in a small apartment about 10 minutes away. His place was modest but clean. He gave me a blanket and pillow for the couch, and even offered me some leftover lasagna. The next morning, I tried calling my family again. Still nothing. I called my roommate from college. "Jeff? Dude, where are you? Your parents came by 2 days ago and packed up all your stuff. They withdrew you from school too. Said you were transferring." My heart sank even further. This was not just a cruel joke. They had systematically erased me from my own life. Thomas could see my distress. "I know the owner of the garage next door needs help. It is not glamorous work, but it pays cash. Maybe you could work there while you figure things out." I nodded numb. What choice did I have? For the next week, I swept floors and organized tools at Larry's auto shop. Larry paid me $50 a day in cash. I kept trying to call my family. Finally, 7 days after being abandoned, I got a text from Samantha. "Everyone is laughing so hard. They said you would be calling and begging to come home within days. Are you okay?" I stared at the message for an hour before responding. "Tell them I am never coming back." Then I blocked all their numbers. Thomas let me stay on his couch for 2 weeks before helping me find a room to rent nearby. It was a tiny space in an old house, shared with 3 other people, but it was $150 a month, and I could walk to the garage. I kept working for Larry, learning more about cars each day. I was a quick study, and within a month, he was teaching me basic repairs. 2 months in, I was changing oil and replacing brakes. One day, a customer named Michael came in with an old Honda. While Larry worked on his car, we got to talking. Michael owned a small computer repair shop in town. "You seem like a smart kid," he said. "What are you doing working in a garage?" I gave him the abbreviated version of my story. He shook his head in disbelief. "That is rough. Have you ever worked with computers?" I had always been good with technology, often fixing the family computer when it had issues. "A little," I said. "Stop by my shop sometime. I could use some help, and I bet you would pick it up quick." I started visiting Michael's shop in the evenings after my shift at the garage. He taught me the basics of computer repair, then more advanced troubleshooting. I was fascinated. Computers made sense to me in a way people never had. They were logical, predictable, fixed the problem, and they worked again. Within 6 months, I was skilled enough that Michael offered me a part-time job. I worked mornings at the garage and afternoons at the computer shop. One day, a customer named David came in with a laptop issue. He watched as I diagnosed and fixed a complicated software problem in minutes. "That was impressive," he said. "Where did you learn to do that?" "Self-taught mostly," I replied. "I run a small tech company in Phoenix. We could use someone with your skills. Have you ever considered a career in IT?" Just like that, my life changed course. David gave me his card and asked me to call if I was interested in interviewing. I called the next day. 2 weeks later, I moved to Phoenix and started my first real job in the tech industry. I was 20 years old, with no family, no degree, and nothing to lose. I promised myself I would never look back. The first year at TerraTech Solutions was a steep learning curve. I worked longer hours than anyone else, came in on weekends, and volunteered for the projects no one else wanted. I read books on coding at night and practiced until my eyes burned. David, my boss, noticed my dedication. "You have got a real gift for this, Jeff. Keep it up, and you will go far." His words meant more to me than he knew. It was the first time in my life someone had recognized my potential. After 2 years, an opportunity arose at a growing startup in Seattle. The position offered more money and more responsibility. David encouraged me to take it, even writing me a glowing recommendation. "You have outgrown us," he said. "Go show the world what you can do." Seattle was intimidating at first. A bigger city, a faster pace. My new role at Nexusware involved developing security software for financial institutions. The work was challenging and high pressure, but I thrived under the demands. I rented a small apartment downtown and poured myself into my job. While coworkers went out for drinks or spent weekends with family, I stayed in and worked. I had no distractions, no obligations to anyone but myself. After 3 years at Nexusware, I developed a breakthrough security protocol that saved one of our biggest clients from a massive data breach. The company promoted me to team lead, then department manager, 6 months later. By 27, I was leading a division of 30 employees and earning 6 figures. I bought my first new car and moved to a waterfront apartment. From the outside, I was living the dream. But inside, I was still that abandoned kid from the Arizona rest stop. At 30, I made the biggest decision of my career. I left Nexusware to start my own security software company. Using my savings and a small business loan, I founded Secure Core Technologies. The first 2 years were grueling. 18-hour days, constant worry, and the weight of responsibility for my small team of employees. But our first product, a revolutionary encryption software, caught the attention of major tech companies. By year 3, we had secured contracts with 3 Fortune 500 companies. By year 5, we had offices in Seattle, San Francisco, and Boston. By year 7, we employed over 200 people and were valued at more than $90 million. I had become the success story no one in my family would have believed. The forgotten middle child was now a millionaire tech CEO before his mid-30s. Along the way, I met Amanda. She was brilliant, kind, and beautiful. A lawyer working for one of our client companies. We bonded over late-night conversations about technology ethics and our shared love of classic films. Unlike everyone else in my life, Amanda saw past my success to the wounded person underneath. On our 5th date, I finally told her the full story of my family. "They left you?" she asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. As a joke, I nodded, the familiar shame washing over me. She took my hand. "Jeff, what they did was unforgivable." It was not a joke, it was abuse. No one had ever named it so plainly before. Hearing it called what it was a strange relief. We married a year later in a small ceremony on the water. Thomas and Michael flew in for the wedding, the only family I acknowledged. 2 years after that, our son Jack was born. Holding him for the first time, I made a silent promise that he would never know the pain of feeling unwanted. Our daughter Emma followed 18 months later, completing our family. I built the life I had always wanted, surrounded by people who genuinely loved me. I never spoke of my birth family to my children. As far as they knew, I had no parents, no siblings. Just a couple of old friends named Thomas and Michael, who sent birthday cards and visited occasionally. I had everything I could want. A successful company, a beautiful home overlooking Puget Sound, a loving wife, and 2 amazing children. I had won. So why did I still wake up some nights in a cold sweat back in that Arizona rest stop, 15 years to the day after being abandoned? I was in my office working late when a LinkedIn notification caught my attention. People you may know, Derek Williams. My finger hovered over the notification. I had not searched for my family in years. Early on, I had looked them up occasionally, watching from afar as Derek built his legal career and Samantha went to college, but eventually I stopped. It was healthier that way. Something made me click the notification. Derek's profile picture showed an older version of the brother I remembered now, with thinning hair and stress lines around his eyes. But it was his employment history that shocked me. After rising to partner at his Chicago law firm, there was a gap then, a series of progressively less prestigious positions. His current role was as a legal consultant for a small company I had never heard of. Curious now, I did what I had promised myself I would never do. I searched for my family online. The results painted a grim picture. Derek's law firm had collapsed in a financial scandal 5 years earlier. He had not been directly implicated, but his reputation was tarnished. He had lost his house in the fallout and declared bankruptcy. My parents had retired but were struggling. My father had health problems, and their retirement savings had been depleted by medical bills. They were living in a small apartment, a far cry from the comfortable suburban home of my childhood. Samantha was a single mother, working 2 jobs to support her young son. Her husband had left when the child was an infant. And then I found something that stopped my heart. A Facebook post from Samantha, dated just 3 months earlier, 15 years ago today. My brother disappeared from our lives. Not a day goes by that I do not think about Jeff and wonder where he is, if he is okay, if he will ever forgive us for the terrible mistake we made. If anyone has any information about Jeffrey Williams, please contact me. The post had dozens of sympathetic comments. My family had rewritten history, casting themselves as the grieving victims of my mysterious disappearance. Out of curiosity, I checked my old email address, one I had not used in years, but kept active as a junk account. There, buried under thousands of spam messages, were emails from my family, hundreds of them starting about a week after they had left me and continuing sporadically through the years. I opened the most recent one from my mother, sent just a month ago. My dearest Jeff, I do not know if you still use this email or if you will ever read this. We have tried everything to find you. Private investigators, missing persons reports, internet searches. Your father and I are getting older. All we want before we die is to see you again, to beg your forgiveness for that terrible day. Please, if you read this, contact us. We love you. Mom. I checked my old phone number, which I had kept as a business line. There were 107 missed calls from my family's numbers over the past 3 years alone. They had been looking for me. But why now? Why after 15 years? And why should I care? I closed my laptop and went home to my family. My real family. For 2 weeks, I said nothing about my discovery to Amanda. I threw myself into work and family life, trying to push thoughts of my birth family away, but the knowledge nagged at me. Late one night, Amanda found me sitting in our kitchen, staring at old emails on my laptop. What is going on, Jeff? You have been distant lately. I showed her what I had found. The emails, the calls, Samantha's post. They have been looking for me. After all this time. Amanda sat beside me, her hand on mine. What do you want to do about it? Nothing, I said immediately. They made their choice 15 years ago. They do not deserve my time. Maybe this is not about what they deserve, she said gently. Maybe it is about what you need. What is that supposed to mean? You have built this amazing life, this fortress against the pain they caused. But Jeff, you have never really dealt with what happened. Maybe facing them would help you finally heal. I scoffed. I am healed. Look at my life. I won. Is it winning if you are still running? Her words hit me like a physical blow. Was I still running? Had everything I built been an elaborate way to prove my worth to people who had thrown me away? For days I wrestled with the decision. I talked it through with Amanda repeatedly. I even spoke with a therapist for the first time in my life. Finally, I made my choice. I would see them once on my terms to close this chapter for good. I found Samantha's email from her Facebook post and wrote a brief message, "I am alive. I am well. If you want to meet, bring everyone to the address below next Saturday at 11 a.m. Come alone. Tell no one else." The address was for an upscale coffee shop in downtown Seattle, neutral territory far from my home or office. She replied within minutes, "Jeff, oh my God, is this really you? We will be there. Thank you. Thank you so much." The week that followed was the longest of my life. I considered canceling multiple times. What was I hoping to achieve? Closure, revenge, forgiveness. On that Saturday morning, I dressed carefully in one of my best suits. Amanda hugged me at the door. "Remember, whatever happens, you have already won by living well. This is for you, not for them." I arrived at the coffee shop 30 minutes early and chose a table with a view of the entrance. At exactly 11 a.m., they walked in. They were ghosts of the family I remembered. My father walked with a cane now, his once imposing frame stooped and thin. My mother's hair was completely gray, her face lined with age and worry. Derek looked beaten down, his confident swagger replaced by a hesitant shuffle. Only Samantha resembled her former self, though her eyes carried a sadness that was new. They scanned the coffee shop anxiously. I raised my hand slightly, and their eyes locked on me. The recognition in their faces was immediate, followed by shock as they took in my appearance, my obvious success. They approached the table slowly, as if afraid I might disappear. "Jeff," my mother whispered, tears already streaming down her face. "My boy." I did not stand to greet them. "Please sit down." They took their seats, all staring at me with a mixture of disbelief and hope. "You look." My father started, then trailed off. "Successful, alive. Not like someone who was abandoned at a rest stop 15 years ago." My voice was cold, controlled. Derek flinched. "Jeff, what we did was inexcusable. I take full responsibility. It was my idea. I thought you would just call for help or take a bus home. I never imagined that I would build a life without you." I finished for him. "That I could possibly succeed on my own. We looked for you," Samantha said. "After a few days, when you did not come home or call, we went back to that rest stop. We filed a missing persons report. We hired private investigators." "But not right away," I said. "Not until your joke had played out and you realized I was not coming back to beg." My mother was openly sobbing now. "We were horrible. Unforgivably horrible. There is nothing we can say to justify what we did. We have regretted it every day since." "What do you want from me?" I asked directly. "Why the emails, the calls, the social media posts looking for me? What is it you are hoping for?" They exchanged glances, uncertain who should answer. "We want a chance to make amends," my father said finally. "We want to know you, to be part of your life, if you will allow it." I laughed, a short, harsh sound. "Now, after 15 years, when I am successful and could potentially help you with your situations," I knew about their financial struggles, their health issues, Samantha's single motherhood. They looked down, ashamed. I had hit the mark. "Let me tell you what happened to that 19-year-old you abandoned," I said, keeping my voice level. "He had $43 in his wallet. His phone battery was dying. His family had taken his possessions, withdrawn him from school, and left him with nothing." I told them everything. About Thomas and the couch. About sweeping floors at the garage. About learning computer repair from Michael. About building my career from nothing, with no support, no safety net, no family to fall back on. "I am a multi-millionaire now," I said, watching their eyes widen. "I run a successful tech company with offices across the country. I have a beautiful wife and 2 children you have never met. I built all of that myself, despite you, not because of you." The silence that followed was deafening. "We are so proud of you," my mother finally said in a small voice. "You do not get to be proud," I snapped. "You did not contribute to any of this." "You are right," Derek said. "We failed you completely. And now we are all failures too." The universe has a sense of irony, it seems. For the first time, I felt a twinge of something other than anger. Not pity exactly, something more complex. "I did not come here for revenge," I said after a moment. "I came for closure. To show myself that you have no power over me anymore." "Do we?" Samantha asked softly. "Have power over you?" The question caught me off guard. Did they? Had I built my entire life as a response to their rejection? No. I said more to myself than to them. Not anymore. In that moment, I realized Amanda was right. I had been running all these years. Running to prove them wrong. Running to show I did not need them. But in doing so, I had still allowed them to influence every decision, every achievement. "I am willing to consider having some form of relationship with you," I said finally. "Not as my family. That role is filled by people who have earned it. But perhaps as acquaintances who might someday become something more." The hope that bloomed on their faces was almost painful to witness. However, I continued there would be conditions, strict boundaries, and it would be entirely on my terms. They nodded eagerly. "I will help you," I said, "financially to an extent. Dad, I will pay for your medical treatments. Mom, I will make sure you have a comfortable place to live. Derek, I will put you in touch with some contacts who might be able to help your career. Samantha, I will set up a college fund for your son." They started to thank me, but I held up my hand. "I am not doing this out of familial obligation. I am doing it because I can, and because carrying anger serves no purpose in my life anymore. But make no mistake, this does not erase what happened." Over the following months, I gradually allowed my birth family back into my life, but with clear boundaries. They met Amanda, who was gracious but watchful. They met my children, though only as family friends, not as grandparents or uncle and aunt. Derek found work through one of my contacts and slowly began rebuilding his career. My parents moved into a small house I purchased near their apartment with proper medical care for my father. Samantha went back to school with my financial support while still raising her son. I did not forgive them, not fully, but I released the hold they had on me. The abandonment that had shaped my identity for so long became just another chapter in my story, not the defining one. In time, our relationships developed into something unexpected. Not the tight-knit family they might have hoped for, but not the complete estrangement of the past 15 years either. Something in between, something new. The greatest lesson I learned was that true strength comes not from proving others wrong, but from living authentically, regardless of their opinions. The family that abandoned me had inadvertently given me the tools to build a life of independence, resilience, and success. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones who teach us to be the strongest. Their cruelty forced me to discover capabilities I never knew I possessed. In trying to break me, they made me unbreakable. I do not know if we will ever fully heal the rift between us, but I do know that my future is in my hands, and that is the greatest gift they accidentally gave me. Have you ever had someone's cruelty become the catalyst for your success? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more journeys of overcoming adversity and finding strength in unexpected places. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that sometimes being left behind is the first step to moving forward. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, your worth is not determined by those who failed to see it.